Hi, this is Rian from Must Be Noob. This lab guide is on how to create a conditional access policy to enable Microsoft Entra multi-factor authentication for a group of users. To use conditional access, all users must be licensed for Microsoft Entra ID P1. If you do not have the appropriate licensing, you should look at enabling security defaults in your environment instead, as it is free. Conditional access policies are a set of if-then statements which you can use to allow your users access to certain resources within your tenant based on a condition defined by you. Conditional access allows you to protect your organization at a granular level that suits you as the administrator. The recommended way to enable and use Microsoft Entra multi-factor authentication is with conditional access policies. Conditional access lets you create and define policies that react to sign-in events and that request additional actions before a user is granted access to an application or service. Access Microsoft Entra Admin Center with an account that is a global administrator of your Microsoft Entra ID organization. Click on Protection and select Conditional Access. Select Create New Policy. Enter a name for the policy such as MFA Pilot CA Policy. Under Assignments, select the current value under Users. As the best practice, create a pilot group to contain users who will be first testing the conditional access policy to enable multi-factor authentication. Select Users and Groups. Choose Users and Groups. Go to Groups tab. Select Pilot Group, name MFA Pilot Group. Click on Select. You have selected the group to apply the policy to. Select the current value under Target Resources. You can choose to apply the conditional access policy to all cloud apps or selected apps. To provide flexibility, you can also exclude certain apps from the policy. Under Select what this policy applies to, make sure you have selected Cloud Apps. Under Include, select all cloud apps. You can see a warning about lockout. Under Exclude, select any applications that don't require multi-factor authentication. Next, configure Access Controls. Access Controls let you define the requirements for a user to be granted access. Under Access Control, select the current value under Grant. Make sure Grant Access is selected. Now, select Require Multi-Factor Authentication and then choose Select. Conditional access policies can be set to report only if you want to see how the configuration would affect users, or off if you don't want to use the policy right now. Because a test group of users is targeted for this lab, let's enable the policy and then test Microsoft Entra multi-factor authentication. Under Enable Policy, choose On. To create and apply conditional access policy, select Create. Successfully created conditional access policy. Select Policies. Here you can see the conditional access policy, MFA Pilot CA Policy. Test this new conditional access policy by signing into My Account page. Open a new browser window in private mode. Browse myaccount.microsoft.com. Sign in with your test user account who is member of the pilot group. For this example, I am using the user account of Eric Cartman. Click on Next. Enter user password and click on Sign in. You are required to register for and use multi-factor authentication. Your organization needs more information to keep your account secure. This will start the multi-factor authentication registration process. Select Next to begin the process. If already user is registered for multi-factor authentication, then this will prompt user to perform the multi-factor authentication to access My Account web page. Since Eric Cartman is not registered for multi-factor authentication, this will prompt user to first register for multi-factor authentication. Complete the instructions on the screen to configure the method of multi-factor authentication that you have selected. Click on I want to set up a different method. You can use Microsoft Authenticator application for multi-factor authentication. But to keep this video short and simple, I'll select phone-based authentication. Enter country code and phone number to complete the verification. Click on Next to receive a verification code on provided phone number. Enter the verification code received on provided phone number and click on Next to complete the verification. SMS verified. Your phone number was registered successfully. Click Next. User has successfully registered for multi-factor authentication. Click on Done to complete the process. Let's sign out from the current web page. Select the user account you want to sign out. Close the browser window and again open new browser window in private mode. Access myaccount.microsoft.com to test the MFA authentication method that you have configured. Sign in with your test user account again who is member of the pilot group. Enter username and click on Next. Enter user password and click on Sign in. Multi-factor authentication will ask you to verify your identity. Click on Send text message. Enter verification code and select Verify. Verification is completed successfully. After completing successful MFA, finally you will reach on My Account web page. In this lab guide, you learn how to create a conditional access policy to enable Microsoft Entra multi-factor authentication for a group of users. That's all for this lab guide. Stay tuned for more videos like this. See you all in the next lab guide.